All right, this is Michael Sky. This video is in defense of Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York. Now, I am no longer living in America. I've been international for the last about 11 years, living mostly abroad. Otherwise, a story like this would probably anger me quite a bit. You know, in my lifetime, I've seen American society and culture transform quite a bit, and different transformations, changes to the law, changes to international, foreign policy, things like this, used to often upset me because how the culture changes or how the politics changes, um, you know, I felt like I had to live with it. I had to tolerate it. I had to deal with it, and the best I could do maybe is accept it or try to change it. Until I really understood that there was another very viable option, especially in today's world, and that's simply go to a culture or society where I feel more free. I feel more respected as I am. I feel more welcome. I feel perhaps more respected as a man. And this current environment of Me Too and every everything where people believe all women, and any accusations of sexual assault against men are, if you even defend yourself for a moment or speak up, wondering if there might be another side of the story, then you are as bad as the villain, and the villain is really, really bad. Forget any possible other side to the story. Now, from my personal experience, um, I've worked with many people in conflict situations, relationship conflict, interpersonal conflict, and you start off talking to one person and you hear a story or a version of the other person that makes them sound like like absolute villains. Like I don't even want to talk to the other person after that. And then come to talk to the other person, and you hear a completely different side of the story, a completely different case. And so, I no longer take one person's version of events, especially in a conflict or accusation situation, at face value. And it's very, very destructive to do so. So I just wanted to walk through this list of accusations that currently Andrew Cuomo has against him. I think there's about 8 here. And this first one, Lindsay Boylan, it says that she's accusing Cuomo of forcibly kissing her a few years ago, and reported that he propositioned her for sex. Now, that's her accusation. There's also his perspective on those events, if they were events. And then there's also the reality of what actually happened. All three of those might not line up. But let's say that he did proposition her for sex. Now, she worked for him at the time, so I don't think he's being accused of doing something illegal in this case. But maybe people are saying that because he is governor, he's in a position of power. Because she worked for him, it doesn't matter that he's a single man. He should not be making moves on her. But one thing that, that would be taboo for a news article to talk about, or for anyone really to bring up publicly, is what was her behavior in these situations? Is it possible she was in fact flirting with him, coming on to him, giving him all kinds of buy signals, and he responded to those and said, hey, him thinking, hey, she's obviously wanting me to come on to me. She likes me. I think I will ask her, hey, should we do the deed? And, there's so many things that you don't know here. And just the fact that it's taboo to even believe or support his innocence until guilt, which is a fundamental principle of why we think of the United States as a decent. In fact, many Americans might say that America is the best country in the world because of our system of of governance and laws and rights, human rights, and the fundamental, presumption that someone is innocent until proven guilty in today's culture. You are looked at as being very immoral and wrong. Should you dare to presume someone's innocence? But it is so easy. It is so easy to assassinate someone's character just with innuendo. It happens all the time. It's so easy, and I think this is. I've heard sociologists and people talk about this, that it's the form of violence that women will often use because they are typically smaller than men, where men might threaten physical violence. The form of violence that women will often use is innuendo, gossip, and character assassination, which can lead to other people committing violence against them. For example, men hearing these stories and then wanting to get violent with the other person, if that's a man, or ostracizing the person who's being talked about from the group. All of these are a form of violation or violence, or of threat, and so it's so easy for people to start gossiping or a hypothesis or innuendo, and then other people to look for evidence and create a whole case against someone, making someone out to be someone that they might not even be. All right, let's go on here. So Charlotte Bennett, she adds her story to this. Says that the governor asked her some questions about her sex life. The governor is single, by the way. He's also Italian, um, a single Italian man. And if you traveled at all, you've seen how men behave in many other parts of the world outside of America. I've not been to Italy, but in Latin America, in Argentina, where there's a lot of ethnic Italians, um, the things that the governor is being accused of would be considered very mild, or normal behavior for a heterosexual uh, man who has not been castrated and who is single. So Charlotte says he asked her questions about her sex life and implied, not even said directly, but implied that she was old enough for him, and that he was lonely. So he hinted that maybe they could be a match in some form or another. Again, what you don't see here is um, how they likely interacted with each other. And if you're in a situation where you have a younger female and an older male in a position of power, you know, our culture is now saying that any kind of flirtation from the man to the woman is like sexual harassment if he's in a position of power. However, many women will tell you that it's extremely hot to have a boss who has authority over you, and you work for him, and there's many times a natural, very strong attraction there and dynamic. And if there is that attraction, it'd be very likely that a woman is sending signals to this man that says that she finds him attractive, even if she's not intending to. Um, there's another component with women that, and well, I won't tell this story because I don't have the time on this video, but a lot of times as well, in the time of month when women are ovulating, they're often giving signals and signs and demonstrating a behavior that might not at all be conscious, that to the man is saying, hey, I'm available, I'm interested, or giving signs that, hey, this mating ritual can begin, or let's take it a step further. And she might not even attend it, but her hormones are changing her nonverbal communication in that way. So again, both of these accusations here, is it sexual harassment? You know, that's up to you, I guess. So the next person, Anna Ruch, I guess that's how you pronounce her name, is accusing Cuomo of putting his hands on her back. Putting his hands on her back. And that she removed his hands and then he put his hands on her face, cheeks. It's funny, the quote there. Not her butt cheeks, but her face cheeks, and asked to kiss her. So he's asking, right, consent there to kiss her. It's really hard for me to imagine that this is a man who has attained this level of position, especially in the Democratic Party these days, a progressive, that he would place his hands on a woman's cheeks and even asked to kiss her if he was not interpreting any signs at all that that was something that would be welcome or wanted. Now, relationships, romance, sex, these things, these signals, the dance that we do is not so clear. It's not so easy all the time. Many times, if you're a man, you're taking a risk. Hey, I think she's attracted to me. I think she wants me to talk to her. I think she wants to be kissed. And we don't know for sure. But if we don't take the step, nothing happens. And which brings me to another point. I wonder how many women are distressed that we are now sending signals to men in American culture that are warning them against making any moves whatsoever. How many women really want to live in a world like that? And if you're a man who's watching, do you want to live in a world like that? And the as I said in the beginning of the video, the thing I realized is, I don't need to get angry if the culture is changing in a way that where I don't like it. Um, there are other cultures where I might feel more at home, more welcome as I already am. Some cultures where public displays of affection of any kind are completely taboo. I remember being in Kuwait for a month, and I went to the movie theater, and they cut out just generic kissing scenes. Like they cut out just a peck on the lips, because in their culture that was taboo. And I remember how I felt there, like, as a man, it was. I don't want to say it was against the law, but I believe it was against like their religious code and their culture for a man who doesn't know or is not related to a woman there to even approach her and talk to her on the street, let alone give a kiss on the cheek or shake hands or get a phone number or something like that. I remember being there, and it was interesting because the single men and women had their own ways to get around that. Like a guy would write his name and number on a piece of paper and toss it in the open window of a female he was attracted to, so that she could call him instead of talking to her, because that was taboo. Um, I have a lot of those kind of stories in other cultures, but my point is, as America is becoming more and more of a place where a single heterosexual man is not allowed to show any sense of self-confidence or attraction or make a move, like none of that is welcome. Gentlemen, maybe it's time to go looking for another place, and a place where it'd be much healthier to raise your children, raise your sons, unless you like the way that this culture is going. So next on the list, we have Anna Liss, and another aide to Cuomo, and she also is accusing him of sexual harassment. She says, and this is really like, oh my gosh, she says that Cuomo dared to call her sweetheart. Sweetheart. I can only think of the number of women, especially older women through my life, who've called me sweetie or sweetheart or whatever. I never once felt harassed, but that's another story. He also touched her on her lower back. How often does someone do that? Just being a gentleman to let a lady go ahead or through the door or something like this. And he also kissed her on her forehead when standing up behind her desk. Kissed her on her forehead. So, I don't know. The next one, Karen Hinton. She says on the same day that Liz accused Cuomo of sexual harassment, Karen Hinton, a former press aide for Cuomo, um, accused Cuomo of sexual harassment, saying that he called her into a hotel room and then pulled her back toward his body. So maybe she was standing in front of him and he pulled her in the direction of his body. And like, that's the extent of the, so she goes into what's, I'm guessing is like his private hotel room, right? Which on some level is, you know, um, already if you're a single woman and going into a man's private hotel room, to many men, this is going to be like, okay, she's open to something, not she's wanting to be raped or sexually harassed, but hey, there might be something here. I remember being in South America and using the app Couchsurfing in the early days. And I had a woman in Chile tell me absolutely, concretely, that if a single woman there invites you to couch surf at her place, she definitely wants you. Like she wants sex. She said a woman in this culture would not do that if she was not wanting sex from you. And I found that fascinating. I don't think that's the same in the US, for example, but a lot of these things differ from culture to culture. A lot of nonverbal interactions differ from family to family. Cuomo comes from, I don't know if it's a large Italian family, but I come from a large family. We're very physically affectionate. Me and my brothers and sisters, not my not my brothers, but me and my sisters, like we spank each other. We hug each other, we kiss each other. We love on each other, we wrestle each other. Like we're very physically connected and affectionate. And I remember being in school in America growing up and being especially in white America, and any little bit of a physical touch oftentimes was like you get the signal like, whoa, that's a little bit much. All these things vary so much from culture to culture and even family to family that to just lay a man out and fry him like he's the worst man in the world. He should not be someone that we trust. He should not even be given a chance to defend himself. You know, that idea to me is just asinine. I do not want to live in a world where, people can just come out, make some innuendos, and a man is not allowed to defend himself, and others are not allowed to speak up in defense of him. Hence why I'm making this video. I don't know the man, but I'm defending him nonetheless. Then there's an anonymous complaint. So it was reported by who knows who that Cuomo called her into his office, reached under her dress, and fondled her. Now, this is the worst of all the allegations made so far. So who knows what happened? Did he reach under her dress, grab her ass, grab her leg, grab something else? I don't know. But it's an anonymous complaint, and so we're supposed to assume all of this is true and there's no other explanation. Then the last person accusing him is Jessica Bakeman. And Jessica says that Cuomo inappropriately touched her in 2012. This would be 9 years ago. What does that mean? Did he touch her on the back? Did he stroke her hair? Did he kiss the back of her head like the president has done to young girls and women many times, Biden? And at a holiday party in 2014, which is a whole other point in itself, Joe Biden is on film doing many more inappropriate things than the governor of New York, or the governor of New York is even being, it's hearsay that, or it's There's no video evidence here. He's just being accused of these things. The president we elected himself has not been held to account to his odd behavior with females. Um, let's see. And in 2014, it's alleged that he made multiple humiliating comments during her time covering him as she was a reporter, I guess. Humiliating comments. Well, what does that mean? I think it's humiliating to accuse this man of making humiliating comments without, more clarity, without more evidence. These people are humiliating him, and so is the press, and so are the other politicians calling for his removal without giving him a chance to defend himself. That pisses me off. She wrote of the incident in 2014. She says, keeping his grip on me as I practically squirmed to get away from him. What does practically squirmed mean? That she kind of wiggled a little bit, but didn't really? What does practically squirmed mean? She didn't say squirmed. She said practically squirmed. And a squirm can be like a little bit like this. So did she do a little bit less than that? What is that? The governor turned her body to face a different direction for yet another picture, and he never let go of her hand. Okay. That could be interpreted in so many ways. How much of this is just his nonverbal communication versus hers? And it doesn't say that anything was spoken. Maybe there's miscommunication that happens even when we're using our words, let alone when we're using our body language. So, we have to learn to talk to each other. We have to learn to confront people in private. We have to learn to give people the benefit of the doubt. It's embarrassing to me, the direction of American culture. And again, my message to men is if you can see the direction this is going in and you don't like it, you don't want to be exposed to it. I know some men are choosing to not hire women or, or work with women. I think it's a very valuable way to remove a threat of someone misinterpreting how you shook their hands or opened a door for them or put your hand on their back or something like this, like that's being exposed to real threat. But another idea other than, not hiring females or other than, changing your job or your workplace or working on your own. Another place is get the fuck out, go find a culture, a country where you feel welcome to be a man. There are countries and cultures where men are not expected to be something other than what they are, and where the women are actually want them to be as they are. So, yes, this is my video in defense of Andrew Cuomo, and it's really in defense of you as a man.